Time for Kendo Rant. Hi folks, it's Andy and welcome to Kendo Rant. Let's get on with this. I'm making this a bit of a shorter video than normal. And I know that I haven't been putting up as many videos as I would have liked to have recently, but things are super busy here, especially with the spring sale that's going on at KendoStar. Things are totally crazy. So yeah, don't miss that, by the way. It's ending on Sunday, so if you haven't taken advantage of the spring sale at KendoStar.com, that's the website that I run, by the way, get over there. That's obviously what helps me run this channel, and it's a brilliant Kendo store. So yeah, get to KendoStar.com and take advantage of the summer sale. Spring sale, not summer sale, spring sale. Anyway, okay, does Tenouchi involve a spiraling grip? I know people say grip like you're squeezing a chakin, but does that actually include twisting? Okay, so this whole chakin shibori is like, or zokin shibori is another one that's said. I think it's kind of a bit outdated. I don't think many people really say that anymore. And I don't think it's a really great way of explaining Tenouchi. The kind of the squeezing of the chakin. Chakin is a type of thin cloth, basically, and there's an old sort of teaching that says that if you wring it out like this is how you should do Tenouchi. But I don't think that's a great way to think about Tenouchi, to be honest. For me, when I'm striking, it's more this way, not this way. Yeah. So I think of it more of a squeeze, like this. Yeah, not like this or like this. So I don't think of it as a twisting in that way, to be honest, and I don't think that'll result in really great Tenouchi. If your teacher says differently, though, follow what they say, of course. But I wouldn't. For me, I don't. I think this encourages a kind of hit which is a common mistake, in my opinion, where people swing the shinai up like this with their elbows out instead of nice and compact, down and forward like this. This kind of cutting where they're pushing the shinai forward like this, it's not a really good way to strike. You won't get the good sae, good crisp strike from that. It has to be men, this way, not men like this, men, this way. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't think too much about twisting the hands this way. Next one, I'm keen to get a bamboo dodai, but I'm curious about the pros and cons of a gloss finish versus a matte one. Any thoughts would be welcome. Well, I wouldn't really say there is many pros and cons, as it were. Some people have said in the past that gloss ones are easier to mark, but it's not really the case. The matte ones mark just the same as gloss ones do. At the end of the day, I can't get my words out today. At the end of the day, they're getting smacked with the shinai all the time. So whichever type you go for, they're going to receive marks and scratches. Not scratches so much, but scuffs. And yeah, those happen to gloss ones, but they do happen to matte ones as well. Especially they've got a bit of an abrasive texture. So actually, sometimes it can be a little bit easier to mark or scuff than the high gloss ones. So really, as opposed to sort of pros and cons, the only sort of, it depends. You could look at it a pro or a con, really. The gloss ones, they obviously do have that gloss finish, do have that sort of shine to them. So if you don't kind of polish them or keep them sort of wiped clean, then they do tend to look a little bit dirty, especially if you have a hard training session and you sweat and your kendogi sleeves are wet with your sweat and that rubs on the door. If you don't wipe it after practice, then those sort of sweat stains will kind of stay on there until you wipe them off. I mean, it's easy enough to clean them off, though. So yeah, the thing is, I wouldn't look at it as pros and cons of them in that sense. Instead, you're best just looking at it and thinking, well, which finish do I prefer the look of the most? Do I prefer a high gloss finish or do I prefer a matte finish? And choose the one that you prefer. And I'm sure you'll be happy either way. So yeah. Next one. I'm relatively new to Kendo. I practice Kendo for 3 years now and I have an issue. the problem is with hesitation or lack of dedication when striking in Shiai, especially on mid-higher tier tournaments. For example, when I'm going for men strike, if my opponent goes for Kaishiwaza, I immediately lower my hands and stop my Zanshin, even if I striked men. Please, if anyone has a solution for this problem, example of workout or just advice, I'd be grateful. So this is a question that was posted in the Kendo Show Early Access group. If you're not in that group, you should be in the group, right? There's a link down in the description below. It's free to join a course, and it's a great place to post your questions, because not only do I answer them here in the video, but you'll get the kind of thoughts and ideas from Kendoka from all over the world as well. So what he's saying here is that when you're in Shiai, okay, so we're talking not necessarily about in your Jigeko or whatever have you, but I'm sure it does manifest itself there as well, is that when you attack, for example, you attack men and then you notice that your opponent's maybe going to do Kaishido or something like that, you go men and then drop your hands like this. Right, okay. In basic terms, this isn't great, okay, because you should attack with Sutemi. You should attack with Sutemi and full commitment to your strikes. But you're in Shiai, okay? So obviously if you get hit, you're going to lose, and that's not ideal either. And it's not wrong to kind of change your plan midway through. So if you make an attack and you realise as you're attacking that it was a mistake to attack at this moment, and your opponent's going to do some kind of Ojiwaza, then what you're doing isn't necessarily wrong or a problem, because you're kind of bailing out. That's okay, all right? It's okay to kind of bail out. It's best not to do it in your Jigeko, but if you're in the Shiai, you know, there are times when you launch, you think, oh no, this wasn't the right time to go. And then you drop the arms down. I've done that before, and I'm not kind of ashamed to admit so. However, if you're also doing it when you've made the successful strike, then that speaks to the commitment you had in the strike in the first place. So sometimes there's times when you go for the men, and your opponent attempts to do the Kaishido, but their timing was wrong. Your timing was correct for men, and theirs was incorrect, and their Kaishido is too late. And the result of that is that they actually receive the strike on the men. Even though they tried to block, they received the strike on the men. This is your men ippon. But if you hit the men and then do this, then obviously you're not going to receive the point, because your strike's not going to have the complete elements of Yuko Datotsu. So it's going to come with experience when you're able to understand earlier in the process as to whether your strike is at the right time or not. For the time being, it's probably better but you have to make the attack in the first place always with full commitment and full Sutemi, all right? And without the fear of being struck. If after you've pulled the trigger, you realise that, because you're not supposed to be entirely mindless, the state of mushin and being mindless are different, okay? Mushin means no mind, but it doesn't mean that you should just be mindless or vacant. So, you know, if after you've pulled the trigger that you figure out that, oh, I was a bit too early with that, or this is the wrong timing, then it's okay to bail. It's okay to bail. But the problem is if you don't want to have that bail out as a default setting, and if that's what's happening, then you don't have enough commitment to your strike in the first place. So how do you fix that? Obviously, it's a kind of mental thing, but the way to fix it, unfortunately, and it's not unfortunate, but it's not a nice medicine, but it's an effective one, and it's Kakarigeko. Uchikomi and Kakarigeko, especially Kakarigeko, where you just have to attack as much as possible in a short amount of time without the fear of being attacked or receiving the Ojiwaza. And you have to train your body to attack with full commitment and full Sutemi at all times. And then it'll become second nature that when you do launch, when you do pull that trigger, you'll go with everything, man. And if you attack at the right time, then your strike will be successful. If not, then hopefully you'll have the chance to bail out and somehow avoid losing door. It's unlikely though. Having said that, it's quite unlikely, because even at that point, once you've passed the point of no return, even if you try and bail out at that point, it's most like if your opponent's any good, they'll strike your door whilst your hands are on the way down. But like I say, you're gonna lose door anyway, so you don't need to fly off, trying to convince somebody that you've hit men when you haven't. So yeah, it's a difficult one in a way. It's not as simple as it might first seem. Obviously, it's easy to just say, no, you should always hit with full commitment with no regard to the opponent. But it's not as simple as that, especially in the Shiai. The point I'm trying to make is that you have to attack. You do have to attack with full commitment. You do have to attack with full Sutemi. But if you realize, at the same time, you shouldn't be attacking mindlessly. Okay, you shouldn't be vacant when you go. So if you like I say, once you pull the trigger, if you notice that it's gonna go downhill, then it's okay to bail out sometimes. So yeah, I think that's it. That's where I'm going to end it today. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to try and keep this one a little bit shorter. I have had a little bit of feedback of people saying they'd like to see short videos. So cool, let's end it there. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about next time. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Don't forget to shop at KendoStar. Do all the social stuff, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Join the Kendo Show Early Access group. I think that's pretty much everything I'm supposed to say. And I know I've already said it 3 times now, but shop at KendoStar.com. See you all next time. Thanks a lot.